Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through one of the most important block in Terraform. Okay, so in order for your code, for your Terraform code to be more reusable, by that I mean you have your resources and then you want to be able to basically reuse your resources every now and then by providing different value to it. Okay, based on the environment or your use case, you leverage on Terraform variables. Okay, so again, for reusability, making your code more dynamic, okay, this is what you need. Okay, instead of you hard coding your values, you leverage on variables. Okay, what is it actually? Okay, for me to explain it, it's better we do hands-on demonstration. So let me quickly go to my ID and then I'll take you from there. Right, so this code you see here, let me bring it down. Okay, this code actually, let me remove this, okay, completely, and then we take it from there. Okay, so this code in this main.tf, okay, so we already have our terraform block, we have our provider block, and then resource block. This is what we are going to concentrate, the resource block. Okay, so for us to reuse the same, different values for this resource argument, okay, we can leverage on variable. But for now, the values are hard coded. By that we mean inside of this resource block, so inside of this, okay, we have the value in here, we have inserted the value here, so name is equal to that. Okay, so we can dynamically handle this, provide a different value for it to create the same resource. We can't. Okay, similar to the path and then the tags, we can dynamically handle this. All this is hard coded. Yeah, so to prevent that, this is what we leverage on terraform variable. Right, so to create a variable, we will concentrate on the argument here. So in here, we are going to separate it. We're going to create a file called variable.tf. I have already created that. Can you see? Variables.tf. Inside of these files, we will create an argument or a block, okay, called variable, and then we give it a name of this argument. So the variable name should be this argument. Yeah, so let's start. So inside this variable.tf, the first one we are going to do is this one. So we're going to say variable name. We have to give the name. For standardization, the name has to be like the actual argument name. Yeah, this one's. So here we will say the first one, we are going to say variable. Okay, once I start typing it autocomplete because of the extension, I will say variable name. Okay, and then what goes in here, so you can say variable name or variable username. Let's do variable name. Yeah, for simplicity. Or is it not? Come on, let me autocomplete that. I'll explain that. Actually, let's remove that, then I'll explain that. Okay, so variable username. Okay, let's remove that. Okay, and just say variable name for now, or variable username. Okay, here what goes inside of that, of this variable block, okay, it accepts four types of argument inside of it. It accepts default, type, it can also accept sensitive, okay, and then the last one, I think it's more than that. Let me quickly show you. It's in here. It's nothing is hidden. So if we go to yeah, terraform argument, where is that? Where is that? Let me show you variable reference. Where is that? This bit. Okay, what it accept: type, default, description, validation, sensitive, null, and then ephemera. Okay, so if we go in there, we can put all any of it there. The main one that is required, okay, we don't even have required here. They are all what we called optional. So technically, we can leave that block empty. What do we mean by that? What I mean is here we can leave it empty. Okay, if you leave it empty, you need to provide the value somewhere. So for now, let's put the value there, or let's provide certain argument. So the first one we can say, let's describe what this is about. Okay, we will say is the default is the username that we're going to use. Okay, once we are happy, so we can say the next one we can describe it, description. Okay, so you can say username. Okay, it accept type as well. What is the type about? The type is talking about, okay, this is string. I will explain it in a minute. Okay, so the type is kind of talking about the type of data we are going to inject, okay, inside the result block. So it is simple user, and it's a string of characters. The reason how you can identify this is in quotation, yeah. So this is string in quote, yeah. That is string. So for now we can leave this like that. So what we can do inside of the main.tf, we're going to say var dot short form of variable, so var dot name. Okay, and then the values will be injected in there, the value as in the default value. So come back to the main. Instead of username hard coding here, we are going to say var dot name. Okay, what terraform will do is it will read it line by line. So line 15 will read the result block, get to line number 16, name, and it's going to look for a variable called name. And then inside that, whatever is provided as a default, okay, to inject it into this block. Okay, so we'll come here, read this, look for what is default, and then inject that. That's it. So now you can follow suit and do the next one. So you say variable path, yeah. Come here and say variable path, yeah. Okay, and then again, what is the default value? Okay, we can say it's a string, so we put quotation around it. Okay, and then it's a system. Okay, we can describe it, and it's a type of a string because it got quotation around it, yeah. So back in the main.tf, so here again you can remove that and say var.path. Okay, happy days. Let's do the last one. That one is a bit different. Can you see this is team mapping to dev, managed by mapping to terraform, environment is dev. Okay, we call this mapping. This is mapping to that. So it is a type of data called map. Okay, so when we go back here, so we say variable tag, what is it called? So var variable, and then we say tags. Okay, and then in here you put the values here. Okay, what values we are describing it? The type is a map of string. So this is to that, but this is a string. It got quotation around it. That's why we're saying a map of string. Yeah, that is it. So going back to the main, therefore we can remove all this, and then what we can say, let's remove one more. And then what we can say var.tags. Okay, let's keep it. So if I run plan here, terraform plan, okay, that is fine. Let's give it a minute. Okay, it's just gonna show you the plan, okay, of what is going to create. Okay, so I can dynamically see the name or the tags. Let's say the name, access key, what is that? Is a user. I am user. Okay, that's simple user. If you want to change the name, you can easily change it in the variable here. Okay, but one thing, like I said, all of the argument inside the variable, so this ones, the arguments inside the variables are all optional. If you leave it and you don't provide anything, you need to provide the answer somewhere. It's optional, but you need to provide a value at some point. Okay, so where to provide the values is what we called, you can leverage on what we call terraform.tfvars. You can also leverage on the command line, okay, or the environment variable. So these are the places where we can provide the answers to that. Okay, I will do a separate video to cover those areas. Okay, for the assigning values to variables. Okay, you can leverage on these ones. Okay, so this is what we are looking at now. All right, so let me show you this. I'm going to comment out the username and watch this. It will ask you to provide the name. So if I comment out, so I'm saying terraform, when you get to this point, ignore it, pretend there's nothing there. That is the comment. By that, just skip that. Okay, don't consider that. So if you run a plan again, watch this. Let's run the plan again. Can you see? Let me bring this up again. Can you see it's asking me username? So like I said, you can leave it empty. Yeah, you can leave the empty, but you have to provide the answer somewhere. So for here, I can even change the name and say done, and then the username will be done. I've override it on the command line. Okay, so username, where is it? Done. Again, like I said, you can provide TFVAS. I'll do that in a separate video. I hope this helped. So what we have done is kind of we've modernized. We have made our code more reusable. Okay, not hard coding it, and kind of we have refactored the code into what we call variable. Okay, so watch out for the next video, which we're gonna leverage on TFVAS. Happy learning. If you want me to do any specific in the Terraform resources or anything in around Terraform, put it in the comment section, or you can just message me, and I'm happy to take it on. Okay, happy learning. In a bit. Bye bye.